Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and the weekly wildcard draft for Game Week 33. And as always with the weekly wildcard drafts, we have the number one pick being the most important player to have in Fantasy Premier League, and in my opinion at least. And then the 15th pick in my squad is going to be the player that I'm the most unsure about having in my wildcard squad if I was to wildcard this week. But for what it's worth, I'm wildcarding in Game Week 35 myself. I have this strategy where I'm dead ending into Game Week 34 and then wildcarding in Game Week 35. But if you're wildcarding in Game Week 33, for some reason, I don't think it's a good game week to wildcard personally, but if you're wildcarding this week, I think you should free hit in 34 and just focus your team on the later stages of this season as well. With Game Week 37 now being confirmed for a double game week, where you can basically have a team for your Game Week 37 and then free hit in Game Week 34 into your best possible team and then bench boost in 37 if you have that chip left. But yeah. Like I said, this draft, starting with number one, we have the most important player to have currently in FPL, in my opinion, and that is Cole Palmer still. Still going to be a fantastic player, still gets points pretty much every single game, got an assist last time, and there's no stopping him basically. He plays 90 minutes pretty much every game, except for this past game actually, he got subbed off pretty early, but that was basically the rest that he gets, because Chelsea don't really have any other matches apart from the FA Cup, but that doesn't really matter too much. It's only one match, and they do need to do better in the league. They have been sort of not the best defensively lately, but offensively they are still scoring goals every single game, and Palmer is right there in the thick of the action pretty much every single game. So like I've said for a number of weeks now, for basically the whole season, or since he started starting for Chelsea, Palmer is just a must-have in FPL, and if you don't have him already in your squad, he's your number one priority 100% if you're wildcarding or not, basically. Number two, we have Phil Foden, and should be a little caveat here with the fact that he had to be subbed off pretty late in the game against Real Madrid in the Champions League. So maybe he's not going to start against Luton. That's something you have to take into account. I still think Foden is going to be a terrific player to have for the future game weeks though, and I think you can have a strong enough bench to survive without Foden if there are leaks that he's not going to start against Luton in this upcoming game. But after that, I think he's going to be tremendous. He's been absolutely fantastic in both the Premier League and the Champions League lately. He has had his defining season so far, and I think he has a case to be made for the Premier League player of the season as well this season. And yeah, he's just absolutely fantastic, and you should definitely have him in your squad as well. So Foden is number two. Number three, we have his fellow player from Man City, and that is Højlund from Norway, which is the same country as me. He's taken a big step up since last draft in the FPL, in the weekly wildcard draft series basically. Because I think he's a pretty important player to have now that they have Luton at home. And then if you're free hitting in 34, then Brighton away, you can free hit him away and have a double game week player there if you want. But then after that, Nottingham Forest away and Wolves at home, and then they have double game week 37 as well. So yeah, Man City fixtures are just amazing. Haaland is basically going to score goals when he gets the chances pretty much for City. Hasn't been the best lately, and he was once again kind of absent in the game against Real Madrid, but luckily City are facing the likes of Nottingham Forest and Wolves rather than Real Madrid, and that's the games where Haaland basically scores most of his goals. He hasn't been that much of a big game player so far in Manchester City, but against these smaller teams, he is able to score, and he has scored against every single opponent in the Premier League, so he can score in any game basically, and he's still one of the best assets to have in FPL. For the start of the season, he was basically the number one pick pretty much every single week, but he's sort of not been worth that value this season, but I think he still has such high potential playing for Man City, who are looking basically into full gear now and winning pretty much every single match that they have in the league. So yeah, Haaland is a pretty good player to have, and I have him as number 3 in my draft. Number 4, Alexander Isak, still pretty high up in the draft. You can see those really good fixtures there in Game Week 35 and Game Week 36 particularly, and then he has double Game Week 37 as well. Only thing with Isak is the fact that Wilson is going to be back at some point potentially, or probably going to be back at some point this season. So who knows if Isak is going to start every game, but he has been starting every single game lately and played 90 minutes in pretty much most games as well. He's come through them all without any injury issues, without any sort of hobble or any sort of issues at all, like we see with Saka all the time, where he sort of has to hobble off the match. I haven't really seen that with Isak, and he's been in full form, both in terms of staying fit and in terms of scoring goals. So I think he's still a tremendous player. Spurs as well. It's a red fixture because Spurs is a tough team to play against, but Spurs also concede a lot of goals, so this should be a really good game for Isak as well. So another player that is a pretty nice player to have in FPL, whether you're wildcarding or not. So he comes in at number 4. Number 5, we have Raya Ait-Nouri, and he, again, has been really, really good lately. He's getting a lot of points, but he's also leaving a lot of points on the table. He's so good. And last game as well against West Ham was subbed off in the 55th minute. If he had been subbed off 5 minutes later, he would have had the clean sheet intact. Even though Wolves lost that clean sheet later on in the match, he would have had the clean sheet if he would have been subbed off after 60 minutes. He got an assist again, winning a penalty. He's in super offensive positions all the time, whether he plays as a left wing back or if he plays as left winger or even as a second striker almost lately. So yeah, Ait-Nouri is a fantastic player to have currently. They have really good fixtures. They have the double game week in 34, which shouldn't really matter to you if you're wildcarding or if you're free hitting in 34, but still, it's nice to have just in case. And especially if you're not free hitting in 34, he's a given. He's someone that you should have in your squad regardless basically of your status. So Ait-Nouri comes in at number 5. Number 6, Heung-min Son still. I still think he's a good player to have. I still think Spurs have the opportunity to score a lot of goals. Newcastle away is a really good fixture now coming up in this next game week. And they have the blank, but that doesn't really matter if you're free hitting in 34. And even if you're not free hitting in 34, I think you can easily just bench Son or potentially sell him for one game week and bring him back in game week 35, which is now confirmed to be a double game week for Spurs as well. So yeah, Son, some tougher matches there. Arsenal, Chelsea is not really the toughest match for scoring, but Liverpool away and Arsenal at home are not really the best fixtures. But Son has also proven in the past that he can score against pretty much everyone, and Spurs are going to be attacking and offensive against pretty much everyone as well. So Son, yeah, he's going to be having some decent chances to score regardless. So he's a really good player as well and comes in at number 6. Number 7, we have Alejandro Garnacho. He's taken quite a big jump up since last time, and you can see from the fixtures here, he's absolutely amazing in terms of fixtures. Bournemouth away, then Sheffield United at home in the game week 34 free hit week potentially. Whether you want to have him in a free hit or not, I don't really know, but he's going to be a really good player in that game week regardless. Burnley at home in game week 35, and then Crystal Palace away in game week 36. Really, really good matches. Garnacho has been really good for a long while now in terms of getting those high scores of 16 points, 14 points, 9 points. He's been getting those really high scores lately as well. He's a really good player for Man United, especially when they are counter-attacking. So I think he's just a given as the cheap enabler midfielder in your team, basically, because yeah, he's been in really good form, and Man United can turn it on, especially against these lesser teams that he's going to face now coming up as well. So Garnacho comes in at number 7. Number 8, we have Gabriel Magalhaes from Arsenal. He had some uncharacteristic mistakes in the Champions League, but in the Premier League, he's been absolutely fantastic, keeping clean sheets left, right, and center. I think we're too hung up on having 15 double game week players in game week 37. I don't think you necessarily need that, and I think Arsenal are going to be good defensively for the rest of the season in the Premier League as well. They're not going to concede that many goals. They've been really, really good against some pretty tough opposition attacks as well. They've been really good at keeping clean sheets, so I think Gabriel has the potential to score goals as well. He has that 15-point hole in him as well with goals and clean sheets on top of bonus points. So yeah, I still think he's a really, really good player, one of the best defenders to have, even though they don't have double game weeks after game 34 if you're free hitting in 34. But still, he is super good. Even in tougher matches, I think Arsenal can keep clean sheets, and Gabriel is just an awesome player to have in general. So he comes in at number 8. Number 9, Kevin De Bruyne. We're going to triple up on the Man City attackers. De Bruyne with 18 points this past game week. He was then sick in the Champions League, but that bodes well for him in the league now against Luton. He's fully rested to play Luton, and hopefully he's finished with his illness issues that kept him out of the Champions League game. So Luton at home seems like a really, really good fixture for him. Could potentially be the best captain's option as well if Haaland is benched, for example. Salah is potentially another captain's option for that game, but I think you can survive without Salah, as you can see from this draft. I don't have Salah. He doesn't have a double game week after game week 34, so if you're free hitting in 34, you don't really need Salah for the immediate matches anyway. So yeah, I think De Bruyne is someone that saves you some money there as well compared to Salah, and he's super attacking, obviously, playing for Man City. He's going to be involved in a lot of goals for Man City, and I think he's going to play quite a lot now because he has been rested for quite a while because he's been slightly injured sometimes. He had that illness issue now this past game in the Champions League, and in the league he was absolutely fantastic with 18 points, scoring 2 really nice goals, and getting assists, and just being a really good player. So I really like the triple up in attack for Man City. I don't really like any of the defenders for Man City. Guardiola has been not the best in FPL, even though he scored in the Champions League, so maybe he's a decent option, but I don't know. I just want to go for broke and have the 3 attacking Man City players and just know that I'm going to have some guaranteed Man City points every single week. Potentially a huge haul from several players because we've seen those 3 guys do that in the past. So yeah, Foden, Haaland, and De Bruyne I think should be in your squads if you're wildcarding this week. Number 10, we have David Raya in goal. And again, similarly to Gabriel with Arsenal in defense, I think Arsenal are going to keep quite a few clean sheets going forward as well. Even in Gaming 37, I think Arsenal could keep a clean sheet there as well with him as your bench boost goalkeeper. I don't think you necessarily need another goalkeeper that has a double game week. If you're going for someone like Petrovic, for example, Chelsea are conceding every single game, so you're not going to get that many more points compared to Raya in the double game week, even though Raya has a single game week. And in the other game weeks, Raya is going to be a really good goalkeeper to rely on basically for all those other game weeks where you don't really need to play any players that have a double game week because there are only one double game week. There is only one double game week left apart from game 34. If you're free hitting in that game week, you can have Raya for the other game weeks, game 33, game 35, game 36, game 38 as well. You can play Raya in all those games and have a decent chance of a clean sheet at least, because Arsenal have been the best team for clean sheets this season, and I think Raya is therefore the best goalkeeper to have currently in FPL. Number 11, we have Pedro Porro. He's actually taken the place of Udogie in the team now. He scored a goal last time. That has probably swayed me a little bit, but at the same time also he's been taking more set pieces again now lately, with Maddison sort of struggling a bit with form, and Maddison also struggling a bit with injury issues. Sometimes he has to be subbed off after 70 minutes most of the time. So if Pedro Porro is on set pieces and he's super attacking and can score those goals that he did last time around, I think he's worth the money. And you have the money here as well with Salah gone from the team. You have enough money and enough funds to have Pedro Porro rather than Udogie. But I do really like Udogie. You could go with Udogie rather than Porro. You could go with both of them on top of each other as well and have two Spurs defenders if you want to, two of those attacking fullbacks. But I think Pedro Porro is the better one out of the two currently, but it's pretty close. So if you need the money, you can easily downgrade Porro to Udogie and have enough money in the bank for the rest of your team basically. But I think Pedro Porro has proven enough that he can be a really nice differential for the last few game weeks of the season. So he comes in at number 11. Number 12, we have Jared Branthwaite, as always, one of the favorites in this weekly wildcard draft series. He's been in most teams throughout the season, basically, because he's just such a cheap and nice, reliable defender. Got a clean sheet again this past game week for Everton, who have really, really nice fixtures coming up as well. And those are the fixtures where Everton usually keep clean sheets. They're still fighting to keep their place in the Premier League, especially now that they got another 2-point hit in terms of the deductions from points. So they're still really scrapping down there to avoid relegation, but they are not really a relegation side because without the dropped points from financial fair play reasons, they would easily be still secured in the Premier League with their place. So I think they have really good fixtures. Not this immediate fixture against Chelsea. You can easily bench Branthwaite for that match, but Game 34 is fantastic whether you're free hitting or not. Branthwaite is good for that game week with Nottingham Forest at home and then Liverpool at home potentially getting some points there. We'll see. Then Brentford at home is a really nice fixture. Luton away is a decent fixture as well, and then they have another good fixture against Sheffield United as well after that. So Branthwaite is just a really cheap, nice, enabling defender who can keep a clean sheet here and there, and he's not someone that you feel bad about benching either, because not that many people have him anyway. So Branthwaite is just a really nice, cheap option in defense and comes in at number 12. Number 13, we have his fellow teammates, Pickford in goal. I think he has some really good fixtures, and again, he has a really nice fixture in Game Week 37, even though it's not a double game week. Maybe you want a double game week goalkeeper, I don't know, but he also rotates pretty well with Raya. Has that Brentford at home fixture when Raya has Spurs away, which is a tough fixture for him. So yeah, I think they have pretty good rotation, but obviously you could also go for a double Game Week 37 goalkeeper, but you can also do that transfer in Game Week 37 to have those 15 Game Week 37 players doubling as well if you have the bench boost there and you want to have every single one with a double game week. But yeah, Pickford has been good this season, getting a lot of saves when he doesn't get clean sheets, and he's pretty good for bonus points as well because Everton don't really score that many goals. So both Branthwaite and Pickford are decent for bonus points. So I think I really like both of them. And you don't really have to play both, but you have the option to play at least one, maybe two if you're feeling good about Everton's match that particular game week. So yeah, Pickford comes in at number 13. Number 14, we have Malo Gusto. He's dropped quite a bit since last time because he just keeps not performing basically for the team. It's also sort of getting closer to the point where maybe Reece James is back in action for Chelsea. So his place in the team is also kind of more at risk, but at the same time, he has a double game week already in Game Week 35. You really want him for that game. Everton home in this next fixture as well is also really nice, where you can bench Porro and Branthwaite, and you can play Gusto as the final defender that game week. So Gusto is showing a lot of promise attacking-wise, but he's not getting too many points from it so far in FPL, but that could easily change. He's in those really good positions, and he's really cheap. Plays for an attacking team in Chelsea, and he can get some clean sheet or can get some assists and potentially some clean sheets if you're lucky So Gusto comes in at number 14, that I'm losing more and more interest in Gusto every single week, but he's still a decent hold, especially for that price at only 4.2, I think he is currently in the game. Number 15, we have Rasmus Højlund as the final striker in this team. I just really like Man United fixtures, and I don't really like their defense. I like their attack. And I think in these easier matches, that's where the offensive players from Man United shine, because they don't really do well against the better teams. They've struggled a bit in those big matches this season. And against those lesser teams, we've seen Højlund in the past be a really, really good player. So I think he can get back into form pretty soon. He's now had a couple games now under his belt after coming back from injury, and I think he's going to be back in form pretty soon. But he's not in the best position currently. There's a little bit of doubt if he's going to reach that goal-scoring form again. Maybe he's a bit of a streaky player. We'll see about that as well. But if he gets that one goal in one of these next few games, you could easily see him score more goals in the game weeks after that as well. So I really like Højlund as the number 15th pick in this draft. Then we have 4 players that are missing from last time, 4 players that have dropped out that I'm going to talk about, and you have them listed there above me here in this video. Number 7 last time was Mohamed Salah. He was basically the best captaincy option last week against Sheffield United. And he did manage to get a penalty and score in the end. I got a nice 8-pointer in that game as well. But I think he's just too much money, and he doesn't have the double game week after game week 34, where you can free hit him in anyway if you're following this tactic with a free hit. But if you're not on a free hit 34 tactic, then I definitely think you should make room for Salah in the team, because he's going to be really important to have in that double game week. So keep that in mind. If you don't have your free hit in 34, Salah should probably be in your team. But with your free hit in 34, or you can bring in Salah for one game week only, and then you can sell him and have more funds to spread around for the rest of the team. I think you could easily drop him on a wildcard if you have that chance currently. Mathias Cunha, number 8, was this final striker last time. It's not really that much between him and Højlund, but at the same time I want a player that has a double game week in 37 rather than game week 34, seeing as we're free hitting in 34. So Cunha has also been not starting lately as well. He's still finding his way back into fitness, so I'm not 100% sold on him as the striker. That was a difficult word to say. As a striker either. So yeah, he drops out as well. Number 11 last time was Udogie, and like I mentioned, I've replaced him with Pedro Porro, but you could easily go with Udogie rather than Pedro Porro, or Udogie rather than Gusto, for example, and double up on the Spurs defense. That's also a possibility, so he's a decent player as well. And then number 12, Onana, has dropped out just because I don't really trust Man United to keep clean sheets. They've been really struggling defensively, so yeah, he's just dropped out because I like Pickford more as a goalkeeper currently. But I can see if you want to go with Onana as a double game week player in game week 37. You could also go with someone like Vicario from Spurs, but again, all these goalkeepers, Man United are conceding goals every single time. Chelsea are conceding goals every single time. Spurs are conceding goals every single time. So I just figured I'd go with a player that keeps some clean sheets in Pickford rather than all those guys. So that's basically the weekly Wildcard draft for this week. It's a pretty short and sweet video this time. I have too much of a time constraint basically to go more into detail with all these players. And I've talked about most of these players quite a lot lately as well, because a lot of these players have been in the weekly Wildcard draft for the past 5, 6, 7 game weeks at least. So yeah, don't really have to talk too much about each and every player. So I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. Maybe you prefer this quicker format where it's only about 20 minutes of video rather than me rambling for half an hour plus, sometimes even 40 minutes. So yeah, if you like that, give me a thumbs up on the video. Comment down below if you have any other queries, if you have any questions about your team for next game week, if you want any help with your team for game week 33 in general, please comment down below in the comments, and I'll try to get back to most of you. I usually do on these videos. So yeah, thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.